Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Tea Talk with yours truly, Travis. I'm going to have to apologize for the first episode because the first time is always the most awkward. And I have a very interesting topic for us to talk about today. Imagine yourself in a dark, dank, moldy hallway. You hear a growl off in the distance. As you walk closer and closer, you notice that it's a giant troll. What do? Do you pass the football to your teammates, or do you try and go for the goal yourself? Do you try and go for that end zone? Can you take it? Can you risk it? Today's topic is going to be how sports fans are the same exact thing as video game and game nerds. The first subject, numbers. The numbers are always going to be the big talking factor. We're talking about how many yards people run, how many passes have they done, how many home runs have they hit. It's all the same thing. How many crits, how much DPS, that's damage per second for you people that don't understand. How many spaces can they run? It's all the same thing. If it's on paper, all of it is just a numbers game. Fantasy football, fantasy baseball. If you were to take all of that and turn it into a tabletop game, it would be the exact same thing as Dungeons and Dragons. The exact same. Now, the funny part is that there already is a tabletop baseball and football game, but I don't think really anyone plays it. It's not really exciting. Even the play styles for a lot of these games are exactly the same. You start the game, you flip a coin, see who goes first. You start a tabletop game, you start some other kind of video game. Sometimes you have to roll a dice or get a random number to see who goes first. It's all the same thing. In fact, you even take turns. And a lot of RPGs, that's role-playing games for you people that don't understand what that is. You take turns. You make all your moves. You watch what the opponent does later. Then they make their move, and it goes on and on and on until someone gets a higher score, the timer runs out, or guess what? Someone's HP runs out. There is almost no black and white to this. It is all in a gray area. It is all blurring together these days, and a lot of people just don't want to understand that. They keep thinking that video games and sports are just two separate things. But nowadays, video games are actually starting to be seen as a sport because of all the endorsements. Tons of endorsements, millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Sure, you have Coca-Cola, you have Doritos, you have Nike and everything like that on the sports end. But now Coca-Cola and them are actually starting to bring themselves into the video game endorsements. There was recently a tournament for $2 million for League of Legends, which is kind of a strategy tournament-style arena combat game. $2 million, one of the biggest prizes in all of video game tournament history. And what kind of endorsements did they have? Keyboards, mice, headsets, microphones, computer parts. You name it. As far as customizing a computer. Now, if you were to go to a sporting event, you're going to see athletes that have specific brand cleats on. You're going to see specific kinds of bats used. You're going to see specific kinds of jerseys used. It's all the same thing. The type of equipment they use, the type of food they eat even. There are even sodas and snacks in the gamer's name. And I wouldn't be surprised if I were to see a professional video game player on a Wheaties box one day. It's getting crazy. And speaking of the actual professional players themselves, let's talk about the differences between professional sports athletes and professional video game athletes. Okay, one, the sports athletes need to be mentally and physically fit, right? They need to know what's going on the field. They need to know what their teammates are doing. They need to know how to act, what the plan is. The same thing goes for video game players. Sure, they're not physically fit, per se. I mean, they're not necessarily 300 pounds, at least not in the muscle kind of manner. But a lot of them have to use controllers. They need that really strong hand-eye coordination. They need to practice. It is not just pick up and play and yay, I'm going to win $2 million. They need hours. They need days. Some of them practice for months. Some people play games nonstop from the time that they wake up to the time that they go to sleep, and it won't stop for them. They want to get better. They want to get stronger. It's not going to end for them because they want to get the prize. They want the fame. They want the women or whatever. It doesn't matter. They are doing it all for the same reasons that any other professional athlete is doing it. They want the big endorsements. They want to be in that spotlight. And they have to be mentally fit for this. There's no way that you can just pick up a video game and expect your team to work together with you. You need to practice with them. You need to coordinate plans. You need to figure things out. There's a lot of times where you're playing a video game and you need to improv. You need to change your strategy. You need to change your builds or your gear, what kind of swords, shoes, things like that you're using in order to beat your opponent. And it is the same thing. You pick a football play, guess what? You're changing your strategy. You're hoping that your strategy is going to beat their next opposing strategy. It is all the same thing, and it is all starting to blur together these days, and I'm hoping a lot of people are going to start realizing this. The fan base. The fan base is exactly the same as well. You have a fan base for most major sports where they want to buy all the memorabilia. They want to buy all the jerseys. They want to buy the t-shirts, the hats, the giant pointy fingers. They want to buy all the figurines and trading cards and things like that. Guess what? There's some of those for video games as well. They're actually making trading cards of professional video game players. They're also making different kinds of t-shirts for teams. The athletes are actually endorsing different kinds of gear, right? I mean, you're going to see an athlete say, hey, this is my favorite kind of shoe company. Guess what? They're doing that the same thing. This is my favorite kind of mouse. This is my favorite kind of keyboard. This is my favorite kind of headset. It's all blurring together. There's also fees. Yeah, fees. If you want to go see the game up live, guess what? You need to buy a stadium ticket. It's going to be the same thing for video game tournaments. You need to buy a ticket to go to these conventions. Sure, a lot of people go there to see other people dress up. They want to get free merchandise and things like that. But really, a good bit of them want to go see the tournament. They want to see people kick each other's asses. And that's why I pay attention to it. I love watching it. It is my own kind of football. I try and tell people this, and they just look at me with like that crooked head that puppies usually have when they're confused. They're just like, "Oh yeah, oh okay, video games. Yeah, okay, watching video games. Yeah, that's because you don't understand the stat system. I don't understand everything that there is to sports. If you were to come up to me and say, "Hey man, did you play the newest Madden?" I'm not gonna understand what you're talking about. I don't understand this particular kind of play option and things like that. But if you want to talk about some other kind of video game, I'm pretty sure I can do that. But if I were to at least understand some of those stats, I'm pretty sure it would be the same exact kind of conversation. We would talk about which person's better at passing. In the video game world, we would talk about which one would be better at dealing damage. If we were to talk about who's a better linebacker, guess what? We would talk about who's the best warrior or tank, I should call them. If you want to talk about who's the best quarterback, we'd be talking about who's the best mage because that's technically a caster. It's all the same thing. It all just blurs together. Now, my good friend and brother James actually wanted to pay me 75 cents for every ranked game that he wanted me to play. Now, a ranked game means that that winning matters a lot more than what a normal game would be. A normal game is more of a practice. Now, I feel like I'm worth a little bit more than 75 cents. I mean, maybe throw out $1.25. I might push for that. There's no contract made or anything like that, but it's a good example. He needs a good player on his team, and he's willing to pay money for it. That's what this is like. It is the same exact thing. I wouldn't be surprised eventually if the tournaments got even bigger, if the money started getting even bigger. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually tournaments were shown up on TV, pay-per-view, things like that. It could get bigger because all of it's starting to blend together. All right, but here comes a little bit more of a rant, okay? Here comes a little bit more of a rant. Nerds, chill out. You're not better than any of the sports fans. You're not better than them. Chill out. Sports fans, you're not better than any of the nerd guys. You're in some room over there arguing about numbers while drinking a beer. Guess what? Nerds are doing it too. We're sitting in a room somewhere arguing about who's got the best defense, who's got the best speed, who's got the best offense. It is all the same thing. It is all a numbers game, and I think everyone just kind of needs to take a breather, chill out, let's stop picking on each other and butting heads. This is ridiculous. We're literally all on the same team here. What is this? The 1980s? Are there jocks running around acting like they're from some kind of fraternity or something? This isn't Revenge of the Nerds, okay? This isn't the Pong days. This isn't Pac-Man days back when video games were little to nothing for popularity. This is 2012. Everyone's got video games now. Cell phones, home entertainment systems, video games are everywhere. Hell, Japan even made taking a piss in a urinal a video game. They have a screen that's right above the urinal, and they made a video game out of taking a piss. That is beyond crazy, but whatever. Chill out, guys. And pretty much that's the end of the show. So thanks for listening in. Make sure to like the T-Talk fan page on Facebook, and eventually I will be setting up a YouTube channel, so keep your eyes out for any updates. I'm also going to be getting some guests in, maybe eventually, race car drivers, professional League of Legends players. I know a few people. I have connections like that. And this has been Travis, signing out. Later.